Just as the sky has no limit, what exists within it can sometimes be just unimaginable.
It just totally changed shapes on here.
From bizarre lights to unexplained phenomena, here are some of the sky anomalies that has left everyone scratching their heads.
Guys, what is it?
Look, this is that colored thing.
When people talk about UFOs, they usually picture one strange object, but this one was something else. In South Carolina, during the evening, a massive glowing UFO appeared in the sky, moving smoothly and silently. Its lights were arranged in a clear pattern, a smaller circle in the middle and a larger one around it, both glowing brightly. To make it even more interesting, a bright white light blinked every few seconds, almost like it was sending a signal. The UFO's smooth, steady movement and glowing design caught everyone's attention. It wasn't something you see every day, and people couldn't stop talking about it afterward. Always keep an eye on the sky, you never know what might show up next.
No, Hiram, look.
What is going on?
It just totally changed shapes on here.
Blue light over Dubai. Strange light beams in the sky always get people talking, and Dubai recently had one that stole the show. One night, a bright blue beam cut through the darkness, lighting up the clouds. It wasn't a flash of lightning or a spotlight. This thing moved slowly and made the clouds swirl around it like a scene from a sci-fi movie. As the beam shifted up and down, a glowing portal appeared, surrounded by the same eerie blue light. Then the beam stretched toward a UFO-shaped object hovering nearby. The second the beam touched it, both the light and the object vanished. It was a sight no one could ignore, and people had plenty of opinions about what they just witnessed. Bright streaks over Vegas.
What the hell is going on? Are they fighting?
Several glowing white streaks flashed across the Las Vegas sky one night. Most online viewers thought they were seeing something unusual, bright lights racing through the air, changing direction too quickly for planes or drones. But others had a simpler explanation, reflections from car headlights on a window. The lights didn't just hover, they moved fast, grabbing everyone's attention. Whether it was an optical illusion or something more advanced, the sight definitely sparked curiosity. And with lights like these appearing worldwide, people can't help but wonder, what else is out there? Next time you see strange lights, check the windows first.
Whoa.
A UFO up close. Spotting a UFO in the sky is one thing, but seeing one up close, that's a whole different level. And that's exactly what happened when a strange UFO hovered just above the ground, shocking a crowd that quickly gathered to watch. This wasn't some blurry dot in the sky, it was so close that people could record clear videos. And trust me, the UFO didn't seem to mind the attention. The object was white and had a strange shape, definitely not your average airplane or drone. It wasn't noisy, didn't zoom around, and didn't seem threatening. It just floated there, almost like it was checking things out or maybe just enjoying the spotlight. I mean, if you're going to visit Earth, why not put on a show, right? Flaming triangle in the sky. In Cuba, people were left stunned after spotting a spinning triangle with a fiery thruster flying over Cerro Havana. The UFO spun through the sky, glowing with a red-hot flame at the back. At one point, it even turned into a full-blown fireball while twisting uncontrollably. Then just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, the fireball faded, leaving behind a spinning line of flames. Seriously, this thing was putting on a whole show. Even a former US intelligence officer suggested it could be something extraterrestrial. And with its shape, people couldn't help but compare it to the alien ships from Independence Day. The footage was first captured by a shocked local back in 2019, but it recently resurfaced online, and it's gone viral. Maybe the aliens just wanted to remind us they're still watching. UFOs over Denver. One night over Denver, several UFOs, both big and small, hovered high above the city. They didn't just float, their lights blinked, almost like they were surveying the area. The objects were oval-shaped and moved in a smooth, controlled way. Some stayed still, while others shifted around, forming strange patterns in the sky. The lights flickered in different colors, adding to the eerie scene. People watching couldn't help but wonder, were these objects just passing by, or were they keeping an eye on something? With their organized movements and flashing lights, it felt less like a random appearance and more like a mission. A portal to another world. When strange lights appear in the sky, people pay attention, and this time it was something unbelievable. A massive, colorful portal seemed to open above, and out of it came something even more unbelievable, a glowing, spinning object that looked just like a distant planet. These shapes weren't small, they were huge. Far bigger than any star or aircraft, and they didn't just sit still. The planet-like object slowly moved out of the swirling portal, leaving everyone confused and wondering, was this some rare atmospheric phenomenon, or did we just witness something truly out of this world? Blue burst. A glowing object appeared in the night sky, moving silently above the trees. At first, it looked like a simple light, but then, boom, an orange orb started glowing, and a bright blue trail burst out from it, slowly spreading across the sky. It was like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. The light spread in a calm, steady way, glowing brighter as it moved. It didn't flicker or flash like a plane or a shooting star. The blue glow kept expanding, lighting up the night with an eerie shine. Then just as suddenly as it appeared, the glowing orb and its mysterious light faded away, poof, into the darkness. UFO over California. Evening skies are usually calm, but sometimes they show things that make people curious. One evening in California, a UFO appeared, hovering silently in the sky. It didn't move like a plane or a drone, it just stayed perfectly still, almost like it was scanning the area. A soft, dim light glowed from the UFO, making it easy to see against the fading daylight. Unlike airplane lights that flash or stars that twinkle, this light stayed steady the whole time. And the weirdest part, it didn't budge for a long time, leaving everyone wondering what it was doing up there. Glowing orbs race. Glowing orbs in the sky always catch people's attention, especially when they move in ways no one can explain. And in Toronto, two bright orbs did exactly that. They raced across the night sky at incredible speed, moving together like they were on some kind of cosmic road trip. The orbs shined brightly, standing out against the dark sky. Some people thought they might be meteors, but here's the thing, meteors fall. These, they zipped across the sky and disappeared into the distance. A fiery morning. Sunlight shining through clouds is pretty normal, but this was something else. One morning, a bright orange light burst through the sky, and it was way stronger than your average sunrise. It lit up everything so brightly that people had to stop and stare. What made it even wilder were two huge openings in the clouds where the light poured through. It wasn't the usual soft golden glow, it was bold and intense, almost like the sky was on fire. The whole scene looked like something out of a movie, and for a moment, it felt like the sky was putting on a special show. Honestly, if you saw this, you'd probably grab your phone and start recording too. Glowing orb fleet. We always see the sky filled with stars, but have you ever seen a sky glowing with orbs instead? Well, that's exactly what happened one night over Mexico. A huge fleet of bright orbs lit up the sky, not just a few, but dozens, maybe even hundreds. And these things weren't just floating around randomly, they moved in an organized way, almost like they were following some secret plan, you know. Some orbs shimmered softly while others glowed brightly, making the whole scene even more unreal. And of course, it's blowing up on social media. One person joked that it's part of a secret military project, while another said it's probably just a bunch of tiny drones flying in sync. But not everyone's convinced. Some people are sure these orbs are something way beyond human tech. Unseen flyers appear. Birds and planes. Boring. We see those all the time, but in Florida, people got a serious surprise when two humanoid figures were spotted flying through the sky. Yeah, actual human-like shapes gliding smoothly like they were born to fly. They didn't look like birds, drones, or anything else you'd expect. Witnesses said they seemed human, but not exactly normal. The figures floated around for several minutes before suddenly vanishing into thin air. Well, whatever it was definitely not something you see every day. Angels or something else. When people think of angels, they picture graceful winged figures floating above. But in Texas, something eerily similar showed up. Two massive winged creatures were spotted gliding through the sky, and these definitely weren't your average birds. They were huge, bigger than anything people had ever seen before. And let's be real, if you saw something that size flying overhead, you'd probably do a double take too. Witnesses described them as almost angelic, like something straight out of a myth. But here's the weird part, they didn't flap their wings like regular birds. Instead, they floated smoothly, like they were calmly watching everything below. Creepy, right? The creatures circled for a while, shifted directions a few times, and then, just like that, they were gone. No explanation, no trace. Blinding sky flashes.
Feeling pressure change.
Flashes of light in the sky aren't exactly rare. We've all seen lightning during storms, but one night, people saw huge bright flashes lit up the sky, and these weren't the quick zaps you get from a thunderstorm. They were stronger, brighter, and moved in ways that had everyone scratching their heads. Some people said it looked like the lights were crashing into each other, almost like there was a battle happening up there. The flashes would burst, fade, and then pop up again in different spots, lighting up the whole sky. It wasn't a one-time thing either. It kept going, making the whole scene even weirder and scarier. Of course, the internet had thoughts. Some said it might be secret military tests, while others joked that aliens were having a showdown right above us. So what do you think? Just some unusual lightning, or is there more to the story? A UFO in disguise. What if UFOs are better at hiding than we think? In Moscow, a strange saucer-shaped cloud appeared in the sky, and it had people buzzing with questions. It floated low over Andropov Avenue, where a passerby quickly pulled out their phone to capture the bizarre sight. The cloud wasn't just any cloud, it was almost a perfect disc, looking a lot like the classic shape of a UFO. While some believed it was a rare weather event, others couldn't shake the feeling that something else might be going on. The cloud stayed still and perfectly formed, leaving everyone wondering, was it really just a cloud? Unexplained flyers. You know how sometimes you see something from far away and it looks amazing, but when you get closer it's just something boring? Yeah, well, that was not the case here. In Syria, some strange objects were spotted flying across the sky, and they definitely weren't ordinary. And honestly, it's like they knew people were watching because they put on quite the show. These things didn't just float around like regular aircraft. They hovered in place, then suddenly made sharp turns before speeding off like they had somewhere important to be. No plane or helicopter moves like that unless they've got some next level tech. Strange trails above. You've probably seen those white trails planes leave behind. Contrails, right? Pretty normal during the day. But in 2019, something weird happened. A super fast object was spotted at night, leaving a bright white trail across the sky. And let's be real, how often do you see a glowing contrail in the dark? At first, people thought it was a fighter jet, but it didn't move like one. It flew too fast, too smooth, no loud noise, no sharp turns. Just straight across the sky, like it had somewhere urgent to be, and it didn't just vanish. The bright white trail it left behind stayed visible for a while, glowing against the dark sky. Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't your average nighttime flight. The bell in the sky. Fishing is usually peaceful, just you, the water, and maybe a lucky catch. But for one fisherman, things got weird. While relaxing by the lake, he spotted a strange bell-shaped object floating in the sky. It wasn't a plane, and unless birds started shapeshifting, it wasn't that either. It just hovered there, moving smoothly without making a sound. The fisherman couldn't believe what he was seeing. He kept watching, half expecting it to zoom away, but nope. It didn't move like a jet or shake like a drone. It simply glided along as if it was enjoying the quiet day too. Whatever it was, it definitely made his fishing trip a whole lot more interesting. I mean, who needs fish when you've got UFOs? A cloud that glows. A guy was out enjoying a peaceful walk in the park when he noticed a strange glow in the sky. At first, he thought it was just the sun reflecting on the clouds, but this glow was different. It came from inside the cloud itself. The light had a bright yellow center with a pink outline, almost like a neon sign floating up there. It wasn't flickering like lightning or fading like a sunset. It just stayed in place, glowing steadily. The whole thing looked pretty cool and had people wondering what could cause such a bright, colorful cloud. Sky show in Scotland. Shooting stars are always a cool sight, right? But one night in Scotland, people got an even better show. Near a house, a bunch of bright meteors fell from the sky, lighting it up in the most beautiful way. The glowing streaks moved gracefully, leaving behind a dazzling display that had everyone staring in awe. Well, it definitely looked like a shower of lights and gave people a rare, stunning scene to watch. No mysterious UFOs or secret tech, just nature showing off in the best way possible. Whatever it was, it turned an ordinary night into something magical, and people couldn't take their eyes off the sky. One wing, big mystery. A lot of people believe in angels, those glowing, winged figures watching over us. But imagine relaxing in a park and spotting one in the sky. That's what a group of people experienced when they saw a glowing figure emerging from the clouds. It had one massive wing and even carried a sword. Definitely not your average bird, right? The figure floated smoothly for a while before disappearing back into the clouds. The whole scene felt like something out of a fantasy movie. Some people online even joked that it looked like Sephiroth, the iconic villain from Final Fantasy VII. Whatever it was, it turned an ordinary day into something unforgettable. What do you think? What was really up there? Sky high mystery. Flying in a plane is always an adventure. You never know what you might spot. One pilot was filming the clouds from his window when out of nowhere, a strange object zipped past the plane. It moved so fast, he almost missed it. Curious, he replayed the video and zoomed in, and there it was, a UFO. The object had no wings, no engines, and flew at an unbelievable speed. It wasn't a bird, and it definitely wasn't another plane. It just glided through the sky like it had somewhere important to be. Seriously, what kind of plane has no wings? Some people think it could be a kite or a drone, but no one really knows. One thing's for sure, it definitely made the flight a lot more exciting. Imagine casually looking out the window and seeing that. Fiery orbs.
Oh, hell no. That's crazy.
Glowing orbs in the sky always grab attention, especially when they look like fire. In San Diego, two bright, fiery objects appeared, leaving everyone amazed. At first, people thought they were planes, but the way they moved didn't match. The orbs hovered together, glowing like balls of fire as they slowly drifted across the sky.
Flares, maybe? Maybe. No,
They weren't blinking like airplane lights or shooting down like meteors. They just floated side by side, almost like they were traveling together. After a while, they started to fade, eventually disappearing into the clouds. Videos of the fiery orbs spread fast online, and honestly, it's not every day you see something like that. Some viewers say they were just military flares lighting up the night sky, but whatever they were, they gave everyone below an unforgettable view. Tentacled sky mystery. If you've ever seen the Dementors from Harry Potter, you know how creepy they are. Now picture something like that floating in the real world. That's what people in Chicago saw when a strange black object appeared in the sky. And the weirdest part, it had tentacle-like extensions that seemed to move on their own. Some thought it was a balloon, but it didn't drift with the wind like you'd expect. Instead, it hovered and shifted, almost like it was under control. Just a reminder, sometimes the strangest things aren't in movies. They're right above our heads. Weird UFO over Glasgow.
Lindsay.
Next up, people in Glasgow spotted a strange flying object drifting through the sky, and no one could figure out what it was. One person noticed the odd shape moving above her place and quickly pointed it out to her boyfriend, who started recording. The object floated silently, moving from the northwest to the southwest of the city. It had a smooth, steady glide, almost like it was just casually cruising along. In the video, her boyfriend even jokes, "It's literally a UFO because it's unidentified."
It's literally a UFO because it's unidentified. It's only by us.
And well, hey, next time you look up, you might catch something just as mysterious.
Let's send the video into Glasgow Live.
Yeah.
Shape-shifting UFO. Let's talk about shape-shifting UFOs, because yes, that's a thing. In June, a traveler flying over Japan captured something seriously strange on camera. At first, it looked like a simple white object floating in the sky, but then things got weird. The object started changing shape right before their eyes. One moment, it seemed solid, and the next, it twisted and stretched, almost like it was made of something soft or flexible. One thing was certain, it wasn't your average sky view, and let's be real, if you spotted something like that mid-flight, you'd probably grab your phone too. A heavenly sight.
I don't think it's on the ground yet, but you can barely make it out. It's right there, right?
You never know what you might see when you look up at the sky. Sometimes it's more than just clouds. One day, a man was driving down the motorway when he spotted something unbelievable. A glowing figure appeared from the clouds, gliding smoothly above him. It wasn't something you see every day. This thing shined brightly, filling the sky with a warm, golden light. The man couldn't believe his eyes. For a moment, it almost looked like an angel floating above, glowing so intensely that it lit up everything around it. Imagine driving along and suddenly seeing that. Well, it definitely turned an ordinary drive into a moment he'd never forget.
To the left of this hail cone.
War, famine, and what? Strange things have appeared in the sky before, but this one was next level. 3 horsemen were spotted flying over Israel, and it was insane. Just like the ones from the book of Revelation, these figures showed up only days before a major event in the Gaza Strip. Each horse had a meaning. The red horse stood for war, the black one for famine, and the pale horse for death. But there was one missing, the white horse, which is supposed to bring justice and defeat evil. Was the footage real? That's still up for debate. The cloud illusion. You expect to see clouds in the sky, not hanging out on the ground like they belong there. But that's exactly what one man found while walking near the woods. Small white clouds floated just above the ground. They weren't fog or mist. They looked like the fluffy clouds you see on a sunny day. Curious, he reached out and grabbed one. Surprisingly, it didn't disappear or melt in his hands. These little clouds were soft and light, almost like cotton candy, but not solid. Some even floated away when he touched them. But here's the funny part. It wasn't anything magical. It was just soap bubble foam he had made. Who knew you could bring a piece of the sky down to Earth? Fire-breathing cloud. Have you ever looked up at the sky and seen something that made you do a double take? Well, that's exactly what happened when a photographer in California spotted a storm cloud forming in 2015. As he started snapping photos, he had no idea that one of the shots would show something amazing. A cloud that looked just like a dragon with flames coming out of its mouth. The lighting from the setting sun gave it this fiery, real-looking glow. And if he had taken the photo just a few seconds later, he would have missed it entirely. To top it off, it all happened just before St. George's Day, the holiday that celebrates the legend of slaying dragons. Spiral of Wonder. On December 9th, 2009, people in Norway were getting ready for President Obama's visit. But in one northern town, something far more amazing grabbed everyone's attention. Just before sunrise, a strange light appeared behind the mountains. At first, it looked like a glowing beam, but in no time, it turned into a huge spiral in the sky. People rushed outside, staring in disbelief. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the spiral vanished, leaving a dark hole that seemed to swallow everything. Videos and photos spread quickly, reaching as far as Sweden, known as the spiral anomaly. The sight sparked debates. Some thought it was a rare aurora borealis, but locals disagreed. Others suspected a Russian military experiment, but Russia denied it. Angels or something else? In Boa Vista, Brazil, a cameraman caught something strange while filming the sky. At first, he thought he was recording birds flying high above, but when he zoomed in, things got weird. He spotted 2 mysterious winged creatures gliding through the air, shapes that didn't look like any bird. Their wings were large and graceful, almost resembling angels. The footage is seriously wild, and it's not every day you see something like this floating through the sky. A chat with an orb. One night, something incredible happened. A glowing orb appeared in the sky, and it seemed to be communicating with someone on the ground. The orb had a warm, golden yellow light that stood out brightly against the dark night sky. But it wasn't just the light that was unusual. It actually reacted to the person recording it. As the person spoke, the orb seemed to flicker and pulse, almost like it was answering back. It didn't float around randomly either. It moved with purpose, as if it understood what was happening. Sky Castle Illusion. A castle in the sky. It sounds like something straight out of a fairy tale, right? But that's exactly what people in China saw. A giant castle-like structure seemed to float above the clouds, looking like a city suspended in the sky. It was so unreal that some people thought they were seeing a hidden world or something magical. But don't worry, it wasn't a fantasy or a prank. This amazing sight was actually a rare optical illusion called a Fata Morgana. It happens when warm air sits above cooler air, bending light and making objects appear stretched or stacked. In this case, it created the stunning image of a floating castle, leaving everyone in awe. Orbs over Norway. Well, we all know that the sky can be full of surprises, and one night in Norway was no different. People were amazed when 4 glowing orbs appeared in the night sky. They shined in shades of blue and green, and oddly enough, didn't move at all. The orbs just hovered silently, making people curious about what they could be. They didn't look like planes, and they weren't natural lights. Many people wondered if they were UFOs, but there was a simple explanation. NASA had launched 2 rockets from the Andoya Space Center. These rockets were part of the Azure mission, which studies how particles move in Earth's atmosphere. Mystery solved. Aurora over Finland. The Northern Lights are one of the most beautiful sights in the sky, and people in Finland got an amazing view. One night, the sky lit up with bright swirls of green, blue, and purple dancing across the darkness. It was like a magical light show, and everyone who saw it was blown away. These lights happen when charged particles from the sun meet Earth's magnetic field. Most particles bounce off, but some travel to the poles. When they hit oxygen and nitrogen in the atmosphere, they release energy, and that's what creates those glowing colors. This incredible natural display has fascinated people for centuries, and it's easy to see why. Diamond in the sky. A diamond-shaped UFO in the sky? Yep, that's exactly what people saw over a Canadian city. This strange object, shaped like a perfect diamond, was hovering high above, and it definitely caught everyone's attention. It didn't wobble or drift aimlessly. Instead, it glided through the sky with an eerie calmness, like it was on a mission. The UFO had sharp edges that reflected sunlight, making it easy to see. Some people thought it might be a drone, but its size and the way it moved didn't match any drone they'd ever seen. It hovered in the sky for a few minutes before finally disappearing. Lights in formation / fleet of UFOs. Imagine looking up and seeing a whole fleet of glowing UFOs, because that's exactly what happened. A line of bright orbs floated smoothly across the sky, grabbing everyone's attention. The lights weren't scattered randomly, they stayed in a perfect formation, like they were flying together on purpose. People watching said the orbs glowed steadily. Some were bright white, while others had a soft blue tint. And here's the weird part, they didn't move like airplanes or satellites. The lights shifted slightly, but stayed together as they traveled across the sky. What would you do if you saw this? Open discussion.
What is that? Hey, what is that? Do you see that, guys?
Okay, what even is this? This eerie, cone-shaped entity appeared over southern Illinois in January 2025, and it looks straight out of a sci-fi movie. The craziest part, it's glowing from the inside, like something is burning or powering up in there. At the top, there's a mysterious round structure that has everyone wondering if it's a UFO chilling in the clouds. If you look closely, the cloud seems to be floating below the structure, and the glowing parts make it even stranger. Some people think it's a natural phenomenon, while others are convinced it's advanced tech keeping it afloat. Whatever it is, it's not your everyday cloud. If the sky starts looking like this, maybe it's time to keep your eyes open. Do you think it's real?
What is it? Oh, hey, is that an alien?